I'm back. We're going down this main road. This is in between the two towns here, Ashland and Medford, and they're basically almost. They're not. They probably have a pretty big rivalry with one another, and on a whole host of things. Sorry, there's a massage part. Anyway, I mean, if I was somebody who went to massage parlors for like actual therapy and stuff like that, and I don't go to massage parlors in general because I don't feel that much discomfort. I would be concerned about anyone I would go into what it was going to turn into, especially if I was a woman. Something, or frankly, I don't think the gender matters. There's a dispensary. So there's a lot of similarities between this city, back to the main point here, and Medford. It appears that, and they call this the Almeda Fire. They believe that it may have been started to cover up the deaths of two people. They don't. I saw a few. Siskiyou. That's the name of the road. They haven't updated it. They arrested somebody right around the time. They even had, and this is why I got a really strong Canadian vibe when I came to this town. In Medford, for that matter. Medford feels more like Canada than this town does, because it's got a very distinct aspect of the university here. I would say as well for Oregon and Canada, you share a love of beavers, of the animal. So I believe it's the national animal in Canada, and here it's Oregon State's mascot, and ducks. So I mean that goes right along with the maple leaf flower. So I don't know how it happened, but it appears, because my grandfather was from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and he didn't talk about it a lot, but I learned to recognize the subtle differences between Canadians and Americans. And frankly, I don't put one above the other. I like Americans for many reasons, and enjoy spending time in the United States, sometimes because of the edginess of it. I love Americans, and I love Canadians to no end, because of how straightforward they are and how overtly nice. I mean, they will, even if they don't like you, if you were on the side of the road and even if they thought you were going to hurt them later or something, they would not feel right. And I'm not saying Americans don't do that to help people, but we've had a history, unfortunately, in this country of people brutalizing people when people pick somebody up or let somebody in their house. I think there's a lot of feelings of abandonment and separation in the United States versus elements of Canada, and there's a smaller population, so things don't. When you have less population, things don't have the same effect. I'll put this down for a second. So we're going to go into this area here. There's hot springs and stuff, and little resorts everywhere, and mineral water. So we're going to try and get to where the windows don't fog up in here. And you can start to see. I don't know if you. I'm trying to get this the window unfogged so you can see, but it looks like the fire mostly. You can see a little bit of it there. Some of the trees they've cut. And I don't know when they did this asphalt, but it looks brand new, and I don't know if they did it afterwards or what happened. It might have been around the same time the fire started. Now, I'm going to try to drive slow, but people are pretty aggressive. These people are most likely camping. I don't know if they're homeless. So, I mean, this is things are just enough different. I would say, if you want to put a degree amount of how different this area is than Sonoma or the Bay Area or even Los Angeles or wherever you're from, Sacramento, probably about 22, 23%. And that's probably like either a food truck ban there or something, or a religious group or religious organization, which there are a lot of. So there's some of the trailers, and I don't know if those got burnt or not. I don't think so. You can see, I mean, it hit some of these trees. I don't know how clear you can see. I tried to do this in time. You can see right there. Right there. So it burnt that down. It was some kind of restaurant or some kind of office building or something. They're built down houses. You see the chimney, but that one's fine. Then these trailers are fine. But over on this side, people are walking here, and that house is fine. These trees are all burned up. And again, they don't know. I can't tell you what causes a wildfire, because I'm telling you right now, it's hard enough to get a tree burning when you're out camping. I mean, I go out camping, and that's why when I think about wildfires, I'm like, I know that it's dangerous because it's dry. Here we're in a town called Talent, I don't know if we've hit Phoenix. There's another little town called Phoenix. You saw that. You see, hopefully you can see that whole bottom part of that. There's a trail in a park right there. There's BMWs again. I would just say, if you own a BMW or Mercedes, drive well and represent the company well. You see this? That is melted metal on that truck. This whole thing, it looks like it's arson to me. It looked like highly. Look at the cars. They're melted and everything. I hope you can see that. Okay, I'll zoom in a little. Sorry, it's not working. Anyway, look, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. This is burned down. There's even trailers in there that some of them are burnt, some of them weren't. I'll try to keep it to one side here so you can see. Okay. You start to see the spottiness of it. And again, if you're a criminal investigator, if you're an investigator in general, and listen, I don't randomly go by, and this is funny, there's fuel tankers right there. The engines are burnt out, but the fuel tanks are, now maybe they're made of more fire-resistant material and thicker. The fuel, or empty, the place where the fuel was unburned. This is a lumber supply store, and it didn't burn down. Whereas this whole spa did. Okay. When you're a researcher, you see something like this, where one, you'd probably want to think, okay, is this a normal pattern you see in a naturally caused wildfire, or just like a singular arson event, an accidental arson, if you will? Those things are still steaming. Put it on the other side here. A lot of these people were evacuated and they didn't know where they were going to be. It seems to me, and again, I will go and then, you know, summarize and consolidate the research for this video by going and looking at what's the normal pattern, what's it look like when it's not arson, right? So an example supposedly would be what did they call it? The SCU complex lightning fire. They named it after Santa Clara. I don't know what in the world that was about. Did they name any of the fires after SSU? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. So anyway, now this is moving. Now we're moving into. So there's the city center of Talent, and there's the little town here. They got dispensaries all the way down here. I don't know if that's one or two. Here, look at this. This looks like a front of that was like houses or apartment complex. That is what a fire does to things. That is why your family, and I don't have to tell some of you, because a lot of you are right in the middle of it. And you know, I can smell the smoke, you know, and this is devastating to whoever's house is, where there's a car wash. You look at what it did to the concrete in the middle, right? It's pretty crazy. And now we're going to move into this little fog, and partly the fog is partly because of the residue of the fire. Moisture clings to dirt particles in the air. If there is dirt anywhere in the air, that's how they see clouds. So if there's already moisture in the air and dirt gets into it, it'll rain that much more. Like toxic kinds of rain. That's why Canada sued some of the Midwestern states. Now again, back to this idea here about when you come across a scene. Let's say I'm just doing this for research, trying to analyze the environment where I am, and just as a comparison, and also to get into more expansive aspects of criminal behavior, like are these wildfires? How many of them are arson? Who does this? Why? I mean, this is an emerging field in the sense that we don't really know. We know some about arsonists, not really. So hopefully you can see this. You see the fog in here. I mean, it's thick fog. So I'm telling you, part of it has to do with the residue still in the air and just general filthiness. There was an air quality warning on the weather app on my phone, and it said stagnant air, danger, stagnant air. So one of the things that it did was it said that the air would be inverted, dangerously inverted, both in temperature and the quality of it. There's another area that's burned out. And I thought, because I have part of my theory of what's going on here is that the Earth's magnetic field has been perturbed pretty badly, and that means the atmosphere, which is very clinging by a tiny like surface tension of the gases themselves and gravity itself, but it's escaping constantly, but it's also creating new chemicals that we can breathe in our atmosphere. What I think has happened, because they've been talking about solar winds and the poles are going to reverse, which has happened before in the Earth's time. We don't know what a magnetic shift of like 3% less of gravity or more gravity or sporadic gravity where it comes in and out it would do. I mean, your body weight would be different slightly. It could impact the way your brain works and function, your blood flow. It could impact the hormones that your body's released from. Anyway, so they don't really know. They know that we saw a comet past Jupiter, just passed by it. I mean, not Jupiter, but Mars. And Mars still has a small electrical atmosphere, sort of. A strong, somewhat, a weak to medium strength magnetic field. They sent a probe up to see this comet pass by because I think they knew that these comets that were coming in had the potential to do this, or that they wanted to know. There's a whole hotel burned down. So they actually did a series of NASA and Jet Propulsion Laboratory. They sent a probe up to go behind a comet, and it picked up organic material and viruses. They sent the probe over to watch the comet swipe by Mars. Sorry, I got a lot to cover. So anyway, and I got ADHD, and my voice is so weirded out for some reason. Anyway, this general theory is that because the comet impacted Mars's gravitational field, the gravitational field holds our atmosphere together and keeps the composition somewhat the same by consistently mixing it. And there are places of greater, just like in the ocean. There are dead zones in the ocean and dead zones in our atmosphere. You don't just walk, and you're not, now if you're at surface level, you're not going to walk through one of these areas and just die. If you're sitting there for a while, for weeks at a time, or even if you're going outside and you're breathing it in a certain way, especially if it has particles in it that can kill you, and it activates one of these viruses, and then it acts as the irritant and the inflammatory to then cause these more severe cases. So one of the things that might be occurring, and I'm not an epidemiologist, I'm not a virologist, I'm an epidemiologist on the social side of it. Okay. One thing is that we don't know how virulent it would be, or if it has anything to do with what some of the air that's going around, because we know that other viruses are triggered or activated by things like bacteria, radiation, shifts in oxygen level. There's also a thing called the Schumann resonance, and the Schumann resonance states it's a vibratory frequency of our Earth's atmosphere and its interaction with the magnetosphere. Okay, they've shown studies that show that when the Schumann resonance is off, or that the Earth is somehow off of it, it causes pacemakers to have problems. And usually it's because of solar winds. It it makes people have heart issues and heart and acid attacks and all kinds of things. It disrupts your body, throws its pH off most likely. How is that?